Part 19. I was very nervous, and I grabbed my hands firmly. Both Soa and I were in shock that the land-embracing palace was calling for me. I was barely able to wear clothes, and Soa did my makeup with her trembling hands. I simply put up my hair up and came to the land-embracing palace following the person that they sent. Right now, I'm sitting down inside the inner palace. The Empress is entering. I stood up right away hearing an outside maid announcing, and soon the door opened. Her hair was gorgeously put up with the gold yongjam, and she was wearing a light violet-colored dress. Her face with red lipstick was intimidating. She walked slowly and sat down and sent away all the maids. And she looked at me with her cold eyes and pointed at a seat. "Sit down." I'm grateful, Your Highness." I barely replied and sat down slowly. I put my head down nervously, thinking if she noticed anything. "So, is it comfortable in the heavenly purified palace?" "Yes, it is." "That's good." She said it like that and drank a sip of the tea that was already prepared. I like cooled down teas, so I always prepare beforehand. "Do you enjoy teas?" Her tone made me look at her unconsciously. "I don't enjoy it that much." "That's too bad. I was about to ask you to try this good quality tea that just came in. To give that as a gift to a person who doesn't enjoy tea is such a trouble." Her tone was confusing for me. I didn't know if she was reproofing or not, but still she was drinking her tea and looked straight forward at me. "Actually, you and I can't be in a situation where we enjoy our chatting like this, since you are the madam who entered the heavenly purified palace, and I am the Empress." I was struggling not knowing how to reply to that, but she continued. "Do you know all the North Empire's tyrants in the past all had their madams in the heavenly purified palace?" I felt all of my blood was drying out after hearing that. I don't. It's the fact. That's why I was the first person to oppose His Majesty when he announced that he will take you in the heavenly purified palace. "I see. Do you know why?" "I don't know. It's because it's not too much to say that the emperors who took their madams in the palace are half insane." Your Highness," I shouted with shock, and she smiled. Her smile on her cold face was very cold, but I didn't feel any hostility. This is the fact also. But in the past, those emperors left their madams in there for a very short time. They probably had a headache because those women acted like they were the empress or something. But anyway, while they were in the heavenly purified palace, the emperors did whatever they asked, even the things that would ruin the country. That's why they are called tyrants. I'm overwhelmed. I said it like that, and she still didn't erase her smile and continued. "That's why I opposed you. I knew he was obsessed with you than any other emperors in the past. It looked like he won't even notice even he got bankrupted by giving everything to you. That's why I opposed him more." But something was strange. She stood up and slowly came to me and looked down on me. I was trembling so much and looked at her. I was scared that she might find out I'm a male. 1 day passed, and 2 days passed. I didn't hear anything that something went out of the royal storage. I didn't even hear the governments were being replaced. It was strange. Nothing was like this in the history. If it was His Majesty's other concubines, they would act crazy to chop off my arms and legs, or trying to grab everything from the royal storage. Her bitter words made me just blankly stare at her, and it was very memorable during the planting festival. Dragon's fairy that calls out the rain. Because of your humble acts until now, all the conservative high officials are starting to look at you well. I didn't know what the Empress was talking about. It started to give me a headache. She noticed my state and smiled her cold smile and went back to her seat. "So, I'll get to the point since you don't seem to get it." Because her tone was either disregarding me or just considering me. I had a puzzled look. The North Empire's Empress Yanchu Sanga will borrow the Yanchu family's powder and become the small kingdom's princess in this country's madam's background. "Pardon?" I replied like I was whispering. I didn't even think that it was rude to stare at the Empress for so long. The Empress smiled like it was funny. "Compared to being the dragon's fairy, your face is too dopey." "Your Highness, what did you mean earlier?" "There is no meaning. Literally, I will be your background. In other words, I will be in place of your home country." I don't get." The Empress looked at my confused look and smiled deeply. She held her teacup and continued. "I don't like you. That's easier for me to understand. I relaxed knowing that finally there was something I understood. She raised her eyebrows and drank one sip of her tea. Yes, there is no way for me to like you since you broke my pride into pieces as a woman. But I knew this was an arranged marriage. And I knew His Majesty doesn't look at me more or less than an empress ever since I got married to him. I have no intention of bullying you just because of that. My pride doesn't allow that. She said it and took one more sip and continued talking. Then the only thing I'm really focusing on is one thing. Making my husband into the greatest emperor in the history. That is my reputation, and my family's reputation. And she shook a small bell that was placed next to her. Then a maid carefully came in, and there was a small boy that came in along. Unlike any other boys, his face was serious, handsome, and his body was built. Looking at his black eyes like black pearl, I knew who this boy was at once. Unless you give birth to a child and threaten this child's place, I can ignore that you took away His Majesty as a husband. The Empress looked at the boy and smiled gently to him, and the boy smiled along. The Empress moved her focus from me to this child. How are you doing today, First Prince? The boy replied briskly. I feel very good because the weather is really nice, mother. I'm thinking of riding Wana around the palace. Oh, really? Then I can't bother you. I will be waiting for you here and tell me all about it after riding Wana, First Prince. I will, mother. He replied and was leaving the room and took a glimpse at me and ran outside the room. I looked at the Empress. Is that the only thing you worry? Yes. There is nothing else I want from you except for that. If anything, this can be the shield from the other reckless concubines. Since you are obedient, innocent, and even better you don't have greed and ambition, you are very convenient. I paused, because the Empress treated a person like a tool. It looks like the only person that she actually has a meaning to is that boy who just went out. I closed my eyes and calmed myself down. I needed some time to organize all the things that the Empress had said like a hurricane. She was just drinking her tea like she is waiting for me. For a short time of a silence, I opened my eyes and looked at her. I don't have anything I want. I know. I knew it when I saw you during the planting festival. I predicted your character looking at your very humble looking dress. I heard a person like that existed, but I never actually met anyone like that. I was surprised. Even she said it like that. Her face didn't look any surprised at all. I sighed again. There won't be anything you will worry about. Her one eyebrow went up, but she didn't ask further. I knew that. Just let me stay in the palace. She put down her teacup. It was first time seeing her eyes that dark. You love His Majesty. What makes you say that? Then do you love somebody else? The Empress asked like she was attacking me, and I sighed again. Your Highness. See, it is His Majesty. She said it cynically and drank her tea. She opened her red lips again. His Majesty is a very lucky man. I didn't understand what she said. I had a puzzled look, and her cold face had a smile again. What kind of a man has both women who will assist him to become the greatest emperor and who just love him as who he is at the same time? I made a blank face after hearing her. That moment, bang! The door made an explosive sound and it turned into pieces. I couldn't say a word because I was in shock. But the Empress just put down her teacup and frowned little a bit. He was standing there holding a shining sword. Part 20. Did you bring Madam? His voice was very scary, and that made me shiver. Still the Empress was just looking at him. Yes, I did, Your Majesty. Why? Who knows? Isn't it right for her to greet the land-embracing palace right after she becomes Madam? She even made me call her out myself. I was scolding her a little. Who do you think you are? I stood up thinking it was too much for him to say even though he is the Emperor. Your Majesty. Madam, stay still. Don't say anything. I'll ask again, Empress. Who do you think you are making my Madam come and go? Even if it's the heavenly purified palace, she is still a concubine who has to follow the rules. If I can't even scold her, will the laws even work? He raised his sword at the Empress. I got paled and held his arm. Your Majesty, let go. Your Majesty, don't do this. Please don't do this. Her Highness was. As soon as I was about to explain, the Empress cut my word. Even if she is the highest concubine, Empress can't even hold a stick. You are going too far. I didn't know what she was talking about. My mind went blank. What stick? When did she even punish me? His face turned pale. His black pearl-like eyes blankly stared at me. Did Empress punish you? Pardon. I asked you if she punished you. No, it's not true. Her Highness was. You know her personality better than anyone. Have you seen her making other people in trouble? Therefore don't believe her. Your Highness, what are you? I screamed desperately, and at the same time his eyes were full of murderous look. Empress, Your Majesty. At the same time she coldly called him. This is why a place for Madam to stand is disappearing. He paused after what she said. She pulled my wrist and made me stand next to her and said, I know you treasure her. I know you are willing to do anything. You probably feel desperate because this person doesn't like anything. She continued, not giving me time to get amazed at how she was able to read his mind. However, why don't you know those are for you? Still, that's not right. She can't say that. When I was about to come out to stop her, he moved his sword. I was surprised, and she was a step ahead of me again. Why don't you know that she doesn't want anything else but you? I was shocked and covered my mouth. She didn't care if I was pale or not. She continued talking. Don't act like you only see Madam. Other people have eyes too. Even if you only see Madam, pretend that you don't see her. You are a smart person. Why don't you know that? This is why Madam is not coming out of the heaven-purified palace. Because you are acting too sensitive. If she goes out one step, it will be a problem if you get mad. That's why. No, I don't think that's right. I was about to confront her, but because of her staring, I got intimidated. So I couldn't say anything. She told me she wants to stay with you. She told me she wants to stay a long time without any problems. That's why she doesn't want anything but only looks at your Majesty. So be little cleverer. Empress endlessly scolded Emperor and avoided the sword that was pointing at her. I'm too scared by the sword. I need take a walk to calm my heart down. Even though she didn't look terrified at all. She just took scared maids and went outside. I was left with that door's pieces and him in the empty room. I slightly moved. Your Majesty, it's time for your government affairs. Why did you come all the way here? You should go back. Oh, an excuse that you use a lot. Government affairs. His Majesty put his sword back in and looked at me. His deep eyes made me unconsciously avoid his sight. Yes, just like you said, you can't run away anywhere. So let's see after the affairs. End of that word. His Majesty walked out of the room. I was even thinking of asking the Empress to hide me. Part 21. I stood still near the window and stared at the appearing stars. Among the stars there was a glowing moon. I was calm in my messy mind, then the door quietly opened, and he came in. Just like you said, I finished my work. He slowly walked and stopped in the middle of the room. I quietly sighed. It must be tiring. You should go to sleep. I'm not tired. I want to hear something that you've been hiding until now. I'm not hiding anything. No, you do have it. He said it firmly and came to me right away and grabbed my arm. I didn't want to hear that from anybody else, especially from the Empress. So let's say she never said anything. Tell me. What? I think my Madam knows better. I was just staring at the floor with my arm grabbed by him. I slowly opened my mouth. Tell what? Tell you that I'm scared that I might get caught, that I'm a male. Tell you that I dare to hold you in my heart. Tell you that I'm a mere shower of rain that will definitely dirty your reputation. So I was trying to run away because I couldn't be greedy. But I ended up staying. Tell you that since I stayed, I became greedy. And so I didn't even plan to run away and struggle to stay as long as I can. Tell you that I still struggle to get more of the feeling of the person I love. So I couldn't even show a single strand of my feeling. So I was rotten from the inside. What if I love you and love you? I even abandoned my sister. Yeeho. How about I dared to make a deal with the Empress? I accepted her term just in case you leave my side. She told me she will become my powerful background. She said if I am the Madam, she would be able to block other concubines. She said I was convenient because I'm not greedy or ambitious. She said she'll let me stay as long as I don't block the first prince's future. There is no way I can block him. How dare this man? So I told her I won't. Now you can't kick me out even if you don't want me. Who told you I will leave you? He screamed at me. Why are you a shower of rain? Yes, let's say that you are one. Do you think I would get wet by that mere rain? Just like you said, I am the highest man. The owner of this land. I closed my eyes hearing his shout. Underneath my closed eyes, the tears were coming out. He embraced me and wiped the tears off with his hand. Let's say that you had a shower of rain. So what? Wasn't that a shower of rain during the planting festival? A shower of rain that brings good harvest is still a shower of rain. How can the world grow if there is no rain? If you are not here then. He stopped his word and leaned his head on my shoulder and said it like murmuring. I went to the land embracing palace before I came here. To see the empress. I didn't know what the empress was thinking. She basically handed you in my hand. So I decided to thank her. Then suddenly she said something. The world's luckiest man is the North Empire's emperor. I remembered what she said. A woman who will assist, and a woman who will just look at him. No, actually it's correct to say a man. She said he is lucky because he got both of them. The owner of the world got everything. A wife that fits into his place. She was saying why the heavens send a person that loves him to this heartless man. She pretended that she didn't see me and said it loudly. Yes, that's true. She is correct. But not because I am the owner of the world or because I have her. It's because I have you. Don't ask me why. If you know where the love came from, then is that even love? I don't know. It has to be you. I can do whatever you want. I can do that. I embraced him, putting my arms around his back, and I said it quietly. Don't get mad at me for being scared. Yes, I will continuously get scared and care about how other people think. I got it. I didn't even think of running away. I thought I was going to die if I couldn't see you. So don't assume I'm thinking of running away. Okay? And don't you ever kneel down on me. I whispered to him with my wet voice, and he embraced me. If you don't crouch and cry by yourself like that, I won't. The end.